And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince, and I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. Stevie D, it has been a long, long time, right? In football years, you know how they say in dog years. If in football years, we've been going like 4 seasons, right? Because
We have been going.
our last show was week 4, and the way this thing is moving, a lot has happened. People may think that maybe there was some animosity between the Bills and the Jets in their last game, and maybe that's why the show just all of a sudden came to a halt.
That
But
was our
that's not
last show, wasn't it?
it was. but
Again?
but yes, if you don't know what the applause is for, the applause is because my Buffalo Sabres are taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they have scored 5 goals in the first period. Tage Thompson has a hat trick in the first period.
Yeah, but how many shots on net with those 5 goals?
Like seven,
Yeah.
seven or nine, 5 goals on 9 shots. Tage Thompson, a hat trick. It's not a natural one, but still, in the first period, that in itself is just outstanding. Anyway, Stevie D, we've been away, and just a lot of different things, right? There's this thing called life, right? And this thing called life has popped up and it's kind of slowed us both down. But we have a job to do, right? If we had that intern working the way he's supposed to, he could have done the fill-in show. That intern, we're gonna have to talk to that intern offline. One thing, Stevie D, what gotta pour a little out, right? Gotta pour a little out because we lost somebody, and we lost an icon, right? That's what we lost. We lost an icon in Mills Lane, right? If you don't know who Mills Lane is a boxing referee, and he had his signature tagline as he would go through all of the formalities before the fight. Right, he would tell you the punches below here, a low blow. If I come in, you got to break it up, no holding behind the head, all that kind of stuff. And then he'd say, "Let's get it on," and that was his tagline, right? And he did all the big fights. He did all the big fights. You've seen him. If you don't know him, you've seen him when he did Tyson. You've seen him when he did Floyd. You've seen him when he did Leonard and Hagler and Duran and Hearns. You've seen him. You know who Mills Lane is. Unfortunately, he passed. Great referee. So a great boxing referee. So we lost him. But as we segue out of that, and obviously we bring that up because official word sports, right? So we want to make sure we talk about that. We have a blast from the past, DVD.
Yes, we do.
A blast from the past. We were able to kind of twist the arm, maybe, right? Beg, plead to try to get her back on. And I don't think she wanted to come on last season, but for some unknown reason, Stevie D,
I don't know why this year.
I can't explain it. At least her partner in crime is in here, so we don't have to listen to both of them go at it. But we're bringing back Tanya.
Hi.
Tanya.
Oh, this is for you. Hello. Here I am.
Hey, Tanya. Now, Tanya, the last time you were on the show with us, we had one of our counterparts, Jay, who is also an Eagle fan.
I
And this show
divinely.
And this show went sideways. Just absolutely went sideways. Listening to Fly Eagle Fly, and listen about how Carson Wentz is better than Jalen Hurts. Remember that one from Jay, right? We had to hear all of that. And hey, Marquez is in the house.
Yes.
And so we had to hear all of that. And so we figured the best way to handle this one, Tanya, is to let you handle this on your own. All right. That way we don't have to hear Jay chirping in there. And this is all you, all Eagles. So congratulations on the start of your season. I have to be honest. I have to be honest with you though. I have no idea how you guys are playing so well right now. I have no clue. I think it's smoke and mirrors.
There's something up there. It must be that water ice.
That must be a Philly thing. The water ice.
Yes.
Most places it's ice water, but in
that
Philly,
water ice. Water.
see,
Yes. With the
they're
ice.
they're special over there. They're special.
It
It
is.
Don't
has to
pronounce
be.
the R. There's no R in
It's
water.
not the cheesesteaks at the moment because all that grease can just weigh you down. But it's the water ice. No, I'm just kidding.
Speaking
But I
of the
have milk
cheesesteaks,
for you guys.
Pat or
And for my
Geno's?
darling, that's what?
Wait, hold on. Is it Pat or Geno's?
Neither.
Oh,
See,
Neither.
did you see? I lip sync that. That's right.
D'Alessandro's.
It's neither. That's
And
what
I
they all
hope
say.
that the D'Alessandro's people are listening to me. Like it's D'Alessandro's all day, all day.
oh, all
Yeah,
right.
I've heard that. I've heard that before about Pat and Geno's. If you really want a taste of Philly, it's not. It's either one. They're too commercial for the tourists that come in from out of town.
You really want the taste of Philly? It's D'Alessandro's all day.
Well,
And
and you're right, and Steve, you're right, but Tanya, you're absolutely right because I know in Buffalo, right, everybody wants to talk about wings, and they're like, oh, you got to go to the Anchor Bar. No disrespect to the Anchor Bar, but that's not where you go to get the wings, right?
Yeah,
And,
that's what I'm
and
saying.
there's a lot of smaller shops that have amazing wings, and I'm sure the same is in Philly, right? Besides
Yeah,
D'Alessandro's.
no disrespect to Geno's or Pat's because they're actually in like a great location. Like they have built like their name, which is so inspiring. But yeah, like it's definitely like the places that people haven't heard of. Like it's always like
So Tanya,
that's the same with my yoga business too.
you smile all the time. Your smile is just infectious. But you're from Philly. You boo Santa Claus. You throw snowballs. You throw batteries. How are you even remotely an Eagle fan? I mean, this is the holiday time. You should be getting ready to boo Santa Claus.
Do you know what's really funny about that actually though? Like all of the people that I met that live in Florida that are from Philly are like the nicest people, yo. Like they are the nicest, like genuinely like the happiest, nicest people. So it's just so funny to me.
So
I
you
feel like
got
you
run
just
out
have
of
to
Philly.
Huh?
You're saying you got run out of Philly. All the people that are still there, they ran you out. They said, "Nope, you're too nice. You don't fit what we're trying to, the aura, the presence that we're trying to have."
No, it's just so funny because because I go there and I can fit in with them. Yeah, like I'm down. But I think it's just all like it's all a front.
Stevie D, did you catch that? She said she's down. That means that, little Sybil in there. You got multiple personalities. In Florida, you're all smiling. You're so nice. You head up that
No, think about
I-94
it.
corridor.
Philly's
No, in Philly,
nice
I'm
until
nice
football
too.
season. I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's just
no. They booed Ben Simmons. They booed Allen Iverson.
I definitely booed Ben Simmons. I definitely boot. Look,
See,
I'm
it's coming out right there. It's
I
coming out.
definitely.
Well, can you blame Philly for booing Ben Simmons?
I'm sorry, Ben. I was a big, big, big Ben Simmons fan at one point in time, but no, I definitely booed him. He's trash.
And where's Ben Simmons now?
Who knows?
Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, he's with Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
He is. He's with the Nets.
Yeah.
Good
For that
riddance.
James Harden trade?
I don't know
That
how
was
that's
that James Harden trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
At
All
least
right.
I'm honest. Hopefully
So I think what we've established here is that winning makes you drunk. And she cannot stop smiling. You know how when you get drunk, everything's just happy. Because as soon as we talked about Ben Simmons, as soon as we talked about anything outside of the Eagles, the real Tanya kind of popped up.
you see, I
Absolutely,
was so hype.
absolutely, Marcus. See, Marcus agrees. The smile will do it to you. But I'm telling you, Marcus, there's something going on here. It's like a switch.
The switch happened because Ben Simmons was really, really being a little bitch. Like, excuse my language. But he
Oh,
was.
I
He
told you
was.
this show was going to get an R rating. I told you it's going. I have to change the rating system now.
I'm so serious though. You are earning a check, sir. You should be playing. You should be participating. You should be showing up. You should be trying to like get that energy back so that you're hype and so that you can hype up your team. Whether you want to go somewhere else or not, this is your job. Do it. Like that's
oh,
all.
oh, oh.
No words are spoken truer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcus. You know that this we're gonna have to change the rating on here. I think we need to segue and bring you back to that happy place, right?
Yes,
You know
happy. Fly,
that.
eagles fly on the road to victory.
Oh boy,
I can't believe Jay is not watching today.
I
Ooh.
know of all days, of
Yeah.
all days,
Oh, he's gonna replay this and he's gonna be so happy. Love.
he will. So let's talk about your quarterback. All right, we talked a little
Jalen
bit.
Hurts.
We talked a little bit about him. Actually, we've talked about him on previous shows, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Tanya,
He's all there.
in, in all fairness, did you think that Jalen would be at this level, play at this level, and be able to lead the team the way that he has? In all fairness,
Well, how about this? How about this? Why don't we say this quickly? I mean, he flipped that switch and he went from nothing to something really quickly.
He did. Genius. You know, I really think that like you should always expect the unexpected because the same thing like we could say about Jalen is the same thing like I could say honestly about your Jets. Like, wow. You know, like I'm being so honest. Like I'm being so honest. Like I did not expect the Jets to be doing as well as they are. You know, like the Bills, yes. Like
That's a good problem, Vince. That's a good problem to have. Well, we expected the Buffalo Bills to be there.
For you, Vince, my dying roses.
oh, I'm not good at that, right? Now all of a sudden they're dying roses. I mean, I know Von Miller just went on IR today, but so you know, I really like I do like and what Hertz has done, right? He's brought that dynamic where I struggle with that is that I it seems like his game is all about the scramble and the movement in the pocket. Not that Josh isn't, not that Lamar isn't, but right now Jalen seems like it's a little bit more organized chaos, and teams don't know how to defend him. Right?
No,
They don't know how to defend the pass, and then he just takes off and runs for 80 yards. They don't know how to
right.
defend him for 80 yards, and then AJ Brown or Dallas Goddard are out there, you know, catching these touchdowns.
Devontae, Adam,
Yeah.
Devontae Smith out
But
there catching.
Devontae Smith is in beast mode, and so is AJ Brown. Like he is literally on fire.
He is.
He's on
And
fire, and like I'm like just so like enamored by this fire that he's on. Like Jalen is throwing these like you said, like organized chaos passes, and AJ is just there for it. And so is Devontae Smith, and so is my Miles Sanders, like my Penn
Yeah.
State, like forever. Like
No, you're absolutely right there. Yeah.
they're just killing it. Like Nick Sirianni, same thing. Like if you would have told me like, you know, last year or like the year before, like what my thoughts were, like my thoughts are just, yeah, let's do it. Cause it was not like, I was just like, oh yeah, like maybe next year, maybe like I wasn't even, to be honest with you, I wasn't even really thrilled about this season until like this season started. And I'm like, oh, that's you?
Yeah. You're
Like,
spot on.
I'm
Because
so
Stevie
happy
D,
about it.
when we looked at it preseason, we did not see this, right? Did not see it. But what is
No.
so interesting when you watch the games for the Eagles, and the reason why I call it organized chaos is that just like you name the names, right? Um, you have Smith over there, right? And you have Miles Sanders in the backfield. You have Goddard. And for some reason, uh, just to remind Blake, other wide receiver, please.
AJ Brown.
They're yeah, AJ Brown. Thank you. Just to remind Blake. And you have AJ Brown. It's like you don't know what to cover, right? But you got legit. You don't have those twos and threes, right? Goddard is a number one in a tight end,
Yeah,
right?
he's up.
AJ Brown is a number one wide receiver. Devon Smith is a number one wide receiver, right? You got legitimate number ones that are out there that can run every part of the route tree, right? Plus, they have the ability to get deep. You have a good backfield. You really do. You have a rotational backfield, but you have Miles Sanders is a legitimate number one back, right? And
Yeah,
so then all of a sudden you put Jalen in there and you can't disguise the defense. You can't. It's okay. So they're going to do cover two. Okay, no problem, right? You're going to do
you're right.
man. No problem. I'm going to run,
Yep.
right? And away I go. Right? You're going to try to bring a blitz. Well, then I'm going to do draws, and there goes Miles Sanders up for 15, 20 yards. Right?
Right.
This team, and I still don't get it yet. But this team is so well put together, right?
It's
That I think it answers the question.
it
You know,
does.
and they're
You
so
know,
well balanced on the defensive side of the ball too, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about the offensive side of the ball, but their defense is pretty stout too.
Steve, but this is the thing right now, like that I'm having with the defense. Like it's also kind of chaotic because like 1 minute like you see the defense like super stacked and like ready to attack, and then like you'll watch another game and you're just like, what are you doing? Like it's
Well, I
just
think they had some problems in the middle there, right? And they had to address the defensive line. They had some run stuffing problems, and they had to
Well,
go out and get
they
guys
had
out
the
of
injury.
retirement.
They
Right.
had the injury that's what caused that, right? And then they went after what in Dominican Sue and
Joseph.
thank you, yeah, and but you know what you have to appreciate from that, right? Especially if you're an Eagles fan, a lot of our teams that we've seen, or not just our teams, but a lot of teams that we see that are out there, they almost play that waiting game, right? They're like, well, we should be able to get past the next couple of weeks. If this happens, maybe that, right? Nope, not the
right.
Eagles. Right away, they went and grabbed two guys with experience who have played well in this league. They grabbed them, put them in, and said, all right, guys, let's go to work, right? And
It's true.
yeah, they took a little bit to get going, but I mean, I can appreciate that if I'm a fan. I'm sorry, Tony, go ahead.
Oh, I appreciate that so much though. Like you're absolutely right. And like they really did. They came in, stepped up, and like I don't know, because like, sometimes I'm not like the biggest Howie fan, but like he's making moves and I'm not mad at him.
Yeah.
You know, you have to applaud the Eagles for moving on from Carson Wentz when they did. They knew it was time to move on. Right now, some of the fan base, Jay, yeah, you're not here to
Me
defend
too,
yourself,
because I loved me some
yeah,
Carson.
but what's was really great is that they made that call. To some, it was not a popular decision to do it. They made the call to move on from Jalen, let him get his experience, and now it's really paying off because he's a really good passer.
He is.
He throws a really good football.
The interesting thing when you talk about Jalen Hurts, right? When he went to Alabama, his early years, garbage. He was garbage, right? So much so that that's where Tua got his start, right? He replaced Jalen Hurts in that national championship game. Late in the game, throws that dime. I forget, it may have been to Devontae Smith. It may have been. Throws that frozen rope for a touchdown, right? They go on to win the national championship. Well, now he is, because of that game, he's the next year's starter. Jalen's on the bench, and then Jalen transfers. And this is the interesting thing. When he transferred to Oklahoma, he couldn't pass at Alabama. He could
Right.
not pass. He goes to Oklahoma and throws for 5,000 yards, is a Heisman Trophy finalist, because of what he was doing. He was throwing touchdowns all over the place, right? Lincoln Riley, maybe, probably, but still, you saw a glimpse. So when he went to Philly, I thought it was a good selection for Philly. I really did, especially over Carson Wentz. But it seemed like he was a little off that rookie year when they brought him in. But
Right.
now, yeah,
But you
it's
know
the
the
truth.
funny thing about these things, right? Like, because we only see from the TV screen, right? So we don't really know, like, what if the dynamic in Alabama for him just wasn't in alignment with him, and then when he transferred, it was like coaches believed in him. You know what I mean? Like, it's so powerful. Just like making these little shifts and changes in life, like, really makes a difference. And like maybe the same thing, like within his first, warm up season of being in Philly, like maybe it was like, he didn't really feel like that jive yet, but then like, people started believing in him, or he started putting in more work, or like something in his psyche shifted, and now like he's just because I like, because I'm like, dude.
It's
So
interesting you
maybe
say that,
like,
though. It's really interesting you say that because he's Nick Saban's guy, and then I think Jalen got hurt, didn't he? And then they brought in Tua. I think it wasn't that the sequence that went down. Oh, he just pulled him.
Well, he did get hurt, but that's not why he came in. He came in because he was ineffective in that championship game,
Okay,
and they brought it to him.
that just tells me that Nick Saban was not in love with Jalen Hurts. So to your point,
right.
Tanya,
But
they
no,
made that change.
he's a 2-year starter. Steve, she said something that you and I talk about all the time, right? That's where all these coaches always want to put the square peg into the round hole, right? And by putting him into that offense in Oklahoma, he flourished, right?
Right.
Comes to Philly and they want him to do something else. And then all of a sudden they change something because something, to her point, we don't always see what happened. Something happened, something changed, and all of a sudden it blossomed like a rose, not a dead rose, Tanya. It blossomed like a rose, and now you're seeing the byproduct of it. I think it's a great story. I really do. I can appreciate that. I'm not sure if I'm all the way down with Philly fan. Even though the Eagles are in the NFC, I've never really been down with Philly fan. You can't boo Santa. You can't. Think about the kids. It's all about
Here's
the
the
kids.
thing.
It's about the
Okay,
kids.
so we should really work on letting things go.
Well, in fairness to what Tanya's saying, that did happen in the 70s. So, I mean,
But it's the kids.
Let it all go.
it's the kids.
We are much happier fans now.
Well, yeah, because you have a Super Bowl, right? You got a Super Bowl, right? You got a couple championships now. You had the Phillies win, right?
We don't
But
care all these other rings.
But Tanya,
that,
understand.
Dallas talks about from 1996. Like, we are good.
But understand, this happened in the 70s, right? We all can. But in the 70s, you had all these people who were young and were impressionable, still believed in Santa. They were scarred. Well, those kids that were scarred are now in their late 40s and 50s and are railing against the Eagles. That's the problem. See, you millennials that are out there, you think about these old people.
You look what Marcus said.
Okay, maybe I don't.
I'm like, Marcus, hello. You get a rose, sir. I have a rose for you.
How does Marcus get a rose?
Marcus is my guy, man. Marcus is my guy. Aaron Judge, baby. He's back. 9 years, baby.
Oh, man. That's
and why? Let's take a quick segue. Why did that have to go so long? We knew he was going there, right? Just pony up the money. Hey, this is to use DVD. Just pony up the money.
This is why the Yankees are the Yankees. They're not going to outbid themselves. When they gave him the low ball contract, we all knew it was a low ball contract. If he was stupid enough to take it, then he was stupid enough to take it. He wasn't, and he let it go. When you went to the offseason, the Yankees were going to be the first team to offer a contract, right? So you offer a contract and see if he bites. If he doesn't bite and you see what else is there, you know the Judge camp was going to come back because both sides want to be there, right? The Yankees want him back and Aaron Judge wants to be there. Think about it. You want Aaron, if I'm Aaron Judge, I have an opportunity to play for one team, the Yankees, all the way through, maybe get to the Hall of Fame, maybe have a monument, have my number retired, all in the Yankee pinstripes. He doesn't want to leave that to go to the Giants, Dodgers, or Padres or anything like that. So
go to the Giants. Go to the Giants.
Watch your mouth. Watch
I'm
your
with you.
mouth.
He should have gone to the Giants.
Tanya, stay with me, Tanya.
He could have hung out with Barry Bonds. Bonds could have fine-tuned that.
That's all I need. No.
That's
No. Thank you, Marcus.
He should be out in the Giants. He's from Cali. Go home. Why you want him to play with that short porch? That's what you want. The cheater's porch is what I call it. You want him to hit into that short porch.
He's a right-handed hitter.
Doesn't matter. You
Dude,
tell me how many balls.
6'7", 200. He's 6'7", 280 of pure muscle. He doesn't need any short porches. I can tell you that.
I live for this.
But yeah.
Funny.
So I think that's what it was. It was just not to outbid yourself. I don't think they wanted to outbid themselves. They wanted to see what his market value was.
And that's why Cashman got re-upped as well. They said, very good job, Brian. All right, Tanya.
Actually, they said Hal Steinbrenner is the one who closed that deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't think Cashman wanted them back at that money, personally.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So Tanya, we're looking at your Eagles. You guys just won't lose. Well, you lost one game, but really you just won't lose. Are you going to be able to ride that all the way out? Are you going to be able to
all the way up to Philly for our celebration of champions?
Breaking news.
Interesting. So in a way, I'm taking that as a direct shot. CBD, are you taking that as a direct shot as well? I mean, she called her shot.
Yeah,
she said she's going to go up to D'Alessandro's to have a cheesesteak in February.
Right.
That's what she's saying. She's going to go up there, celebrate, and while she's up there, have a cheesesteak and throw some batteries at people.
Well, until other teams start stepping up, the Eagles right now they're dominating. So
they are.
From others.
Are you worried about Dallas?
Huh?
Are you worried about Dallas?
Who's that?
Ooh.
Where are they even at?
Ooh.
There's some shots fired over to Dallas.
I know. I don't know how to respond to that because
it never made sense.
I mean, you do have a 2-game lead on them, but still. I mean, they are right behind you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Eagles will lose 3 games. Right? I don't know if they'll. I don't know in their last.
Right now, tied with Washington last week. Is that correct?
That's the Giants.
Yeah, that's the Giants.
That was the Giants, right? And they tied with Washington.
Yeah.
Wow. You see what happens? Do you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you are the king of the mountain. I mean, just shade being thrown all over. But I mean, in all seriousness, you have the Giants twice. You have the Saints. I think those are all winnable. The only one that's a challenge for you that I see is that Cowboys game. In 3 weeks? That's 3 weeks from now. You got the Cowboys.
I did.
You're right. It's going to be a good football. I don't see the Eagles losing 3 games with the remaining schedule. I don't.
I don't either. I really don't.
That's why I don't think that Cowboys can catch him.
The Cowboys have to run the table for sure, right? And the Cowboys have to win and then hope for one more loss.
Yeah, but guys, can we like I wish we could like replay like the Cowboys track record of like, you know, like the last 10 years. It would be delightful for me.
Once again, these are shots fired. Any other time, these are shots fired. Oh, you know what I just thought about?
I'm so serious. Like, can we like put a screen
Oh,
up, like starting with Tony Romo and like Des Bryant, like, and how they just choke every time. Like, it's just so like America's team. We choke America. Like, I don't know.
Wow. Wow.
Stevie D, it just hit me. In the one quarter, hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, it's Tanya. And in the blue corner, hanging from Dallas, Texas, Carolina Teague. Yeah! That expression! Yeah!
That's right. That's right. Our guest from a few weeks back. That's right.
And then I'll say, let's get it on.
Let's do it.
Again, I say that. Look for Mills Lane right there, boy. Oh, that would be too funny. Yes, Marcus. Yes. So just so that you know, Tanya, we had connected with somebody who has a podcast out of Texas. Big Cowboys fan, does some reporting for Dallas and for the Cowboys and for the Mavericks and all that kind of stuff. And so she came on the show and she's like, Dallas, Dallas, Dallas. And instantly we were like, oh no, you got to meet our other person, Tanya, because she's all Philly. But now that, you're just throwing shots. I mean, it's going back and forth. Oh, this would be good. This would be good. We got to line it up. We got 3 weeks to get this set up. Stevie D, we got 3 weeks.
Okay. Tanya, you game? You come on with a Cowboy?
You might mute me and I might throw snowballs at Santa Claus.
No, that's okay. We're gonna change this to OW Sports After Dark. No, that will be our inaugural OW Sports After Dark episode. Oh yeah, the gloves can come off.
I'm all about it.
Oh, about it. Oh, how funny would that be?
I'm a good sport at heart, I promise.
You know, when we do the screens, we would separate corners.
I'm just getting the button ready. That's all I'm doing, Stevie D. I wasn't cutting you off. I'm just getting the button ready because we know how that one's going to go down.
Beautiful. No, you know it's funny. I have a really good friend that's a Giants fan, and so I teach yoga, very peaceful, and he is one of my we used to work together. He's like a wonderful sports trainer, and he wrote me a few weeks ago, and he was like, "We should get together for the Eagles Giants game," and I was like, "You don't want to." You don't even want to. I will leave if you make me mad because I can't. That's like the one time when all the zen is just it's gone. I'm like I can't. So I'm a true Eagles fan.
So Tanya, real quick, I want you to talk about, because I would be remiss if we ended this segment without you talking about this. Talk to us and talk to our audience a little bit about your yoga studio, what you do, because I mean you're very passionate about it, and I've seen plenty of posts and all that. I know that I reached out to you when my back that I need to start doing yoga. I'm at one point we're going to do this, but talk to everybody about your yoga.
I think we should start that immediately. But
I agree.
Yes, I agree.
Because it's so.
But it's got to be videoed because I got to see it.
Absolutely not.
Just one little thing, maybe child's pose, something easy.
Yeah,
there's nothing easy. There's nothing easy in yoga, which is why I haven't done it yet. There's nothing easy.
No,
I
but
don't. There's none of that stuff.
in all seriousness,
Start with a
like,
yoga mat, Vince.
does he? Do you own one?
Do
I
you have one,
do.
Vince?
I do.
I think I'm gonna start making like my own with my logo on it and everything. So like
You
that's
should.
I'm gonna work on that. So I have lots of different classes that I offer, anywhere from like restorative, like to take care of injury, to like yin or nidra, which is like more like gentle and meditative, to my women's group, which is what I'm really, really strongly passionate about. It's about uniting women that have a creative mindset together. It doesn't have to be yoga, like it could be art, like that they're passionate about, or like they make bracelets, or they put boxes together, or they build things, like whatever it is. Like I'm just so passionate about building a community where women can come together and share and express their creative outlet and not feel like like the weight is on them, like whether it's like taking care of kids or like their typical job, like whatever it is that they truly love, like to just be able to express it. And so like for me, like that is my expression, or art is through my yoga practice. I also do dance, like aesthetic dance, and so like that is just my baby. Like I love to come up with new choreography, new routines, music, the whole set. Like it's just so much that goes into it, and it makes me so happy. So I have a women's group that meets monthly in Tampa, and I'm looking to expand that. And so I actually am partnering with somebody in New Orleans. So I'm going to be going over there here
Nola.
soon to, yes, to go and just spread the word of positive energy, love, light, to focus on our inner body and being, and just taking notice of how our body feels through motions and movements, and just self-expression in general. So,
So
but
let
yeah,
me ask you a
I have,
question. Do you
huh?
do? I've heard about this. Do you do goat yoga?
I do. I teach goat yoga too. I have a class on Saturday. You should come.
No, no,
No,
no.
Tanya, Tanya, that is a great idea. That is a great idea. Why wouldn't
Ew.
you go, Vince?
All I ask is, do you do this? So please explain goat yoga.
So it's a little interesting. Like it's kind of um like yoga is so that you can quiet your mind, right? And you don't focus on distractions. But goat yoga throws all that off, because the goats are a big distraction. Like they're so cute. They come up to you, they'll jump on your back, like it's like kind of the opposite of what you teach in traditional yoga. So it's actually really funny, but it's super cute. You can still have a good time and get a good exercise,
Yes,
and you get to see beautiful little goats. And we have a beautiful farm that I teach at, so it's phenomenal.
You teach yoga with goats there?
Yes.
goats walk
And
on
goats,
you.
they
They walk
climb on
on
your
you.
back. They do. Like they're definitely active, but they're definitely like your typical female. Like they'll do anything for food. Like if you're feeding them, they're happy and they will come to you and they will love you.
What's she say? Typical woman. As long as you feed her, she's good.
Good.
Now, so hey, I'm going to show my range here of knowledge in yoga. Do you do like the hot yoga too?
I mean, my yoga gets hot.
Uh oh. Uh oh.
But
Lamar, where are you, Lamar?
but I don't teach hot yoga. I know, studios and some people that do. But I personally, I'm already always hot. So like the last thing that I really want is to be in a room of like with a temperature of like 140 degrees teaching a class. I would personally be miserable.
Oh, that's what literally hot yoga is. You're like
Yeah.
almost in the sauna teaching yoga.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to know
So
where I was going.
no, but like, well, see, my women's group is considered hot yoga. It's just a little bit different than that. But yeah, it gets real hot in my women's events. So
99
I
degrees, shades
recommend
of gray.
everybody's wives and mistresses and whoever to attend.
This is going somewhere.
Uh-oh, there's Joe. Joe saw the Christmas card you had out there. It was the whole family in Jets gear. I was like, ah.
Way to go, Joe.
I saw that out there. Joe, I don't know if you have seen the show today. If you haven't, you're going to have to watch the replay. Tanya,
Yes.
who is a brother in green or a sister in green, right? She's an Eagles fan. She's been quite interesting today, to say the least. I mean, she almost took the show from a PG rating to a NC-17, right? Just she was getting there. We brought her back. Then she wanted to start going after Cowboy fans, and really going after Cowboy fans. And now she's talking about goat yoga. So
We're
yeah,
all over the
but
map.
Tanya, in all fairness, if people I'm going to go out on a limb, right, and say that our demographic is probably not uh, fully vested in goat yoga. I'm
That's
just
okay.
gonna take a step. But if you need therapeutic yoga like I do for my back, so that I can keep playing golf, then how do people get in contact with you? How do
Yes.
they sign
So
up for your yoga classes?
perfect. So I actually have a website. It's SherelleDivine.com. So I will send it to you so that I don't have to spell it. But but I will give you all the information so that you can share it with whoever is interested. I do a lot of personal one-on-one classes, and then I also do corporate accounts as well. So I have a few corporate accounts in Tampa, one in Oldsmar, like kind of all over the place. Like I drive. So guys, I drive. I'm here for you. Um, my goal is to help you feel comfy, cozy in your body and get you mobile and get you stabilized and get you into good shape. So and also if there's any other levels of practice that you want to learn, like I'm here for you. I do all different levels from like very beginner to very advanced. So I'm your girl. But you
What
can
once
go to me on my website, which is CherelleDivine.com, or you can contact me on Instagram or Facebook. Instagram, I am Cherelle Divine 3. So CherelleDivine 3.
All right, SherelleDivine.com.
Yes,
Got it.
that's me.
All right. Well, I will say we will definitely continue to promote that, and we
Yeah.
we really appreciate you coming back. This so much fun. I'm so glad we got this because the last time we had technical difficulties,
We
right?
did.
And it went on for a long time. Now we're ready to make you a regular on the show, right? And especially if the Eagles are going to continue doing what they're doing, we're going to have a correspondent. Steve can arrange for travel arrangements for you to fly around with the team and make sure you get credentials.
For
So
sure.
why are you laughing, Steve?
Yeah, what happened to our marketing director? Our CMO, right?
I
I
haven't seen him. Now, he's
I
a little
love
under the weather.
oh.
Wait, are you looking for a job? It doesn't pay. I'm going to tell you now, it doesn't pay. But and you could get fired daily, like our chief marketing officer.
Okay, never mind.
Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, I'd stay away from that one as much as possible.
Oh, hi Terry.
Oh,
Uh,
Is Terry back in the house?
yeah, I see Terry.
Nice, nice.
But no, seriously, thank you guys for having me on. Like, I totally appreciate it and I love this. Like, I would love to be a part of it more. And I can't wait for our Dallas thing
Yeah,
to come.
we got to work on that. We have got to work it.
Oh my,
I love things like that.
I love it too.
And two women come into the Terrordome, one comes out.
Yeah,
Is
right.
it Philly or is it Dallas? So, Tanya, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
thank you, Tanya.
All right,
Bye.
Good
take
seeing
care.
you.
Bye bye. There she is, Stevie D.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see her. It's good to see her. It's been such a long time, right? It's been what, a couple of years, I think, right?
It really has. And what was listening about the yoga, that's a whole story in itself. But if you go move past the yoga, just listening to, she still has that passion for the Eagles, right?
Oh,
She really does. And she's smiling right now. She's smiling because of being on top, right?
hooray. Hey.
Where all of a sudden we brought up the Sixers, and that Philly persona started to come out real quick, right? Ben Simmons, not welcome there. So Stevie D, again, we've been away for so long. I know a lot of the show we had there with Tanya, but we have to talk about your Jets. Your Jets, one of the things while we were away, your Jets made a move, and we debated this, even though we weren't doing our show. We debated this move. I'm still not in favor of the move, Stevie D. I'm going to tell you, I'm still not in favor of the move. I'm going to turn the mic over to you. You can give your perspective, but I do want to share why I'm not in favor of it. And then, but again, who are we?
And I may steal a little bit of that in what I'm going to say, right? So I apologize in
No,
advance
no,
there.
you're
I
good.
may hit it, but what Vince is alluding to is the Jets a few weeks back it made a change at quarterback, right? We decided to go with Mike White over Zach Wilson, and I think there's a couple reasons why they made that move. I think some of it is the comments he made after a game in a heated loss, and he didn't play well at all. Actually, was atrocious in that game. And he came to the podium and they asked him, "Did you let the defense down?" And he said, "No." Like, you take any athlete in the heat of the moment, could he have handled it better? Absolutely, he could have. If I'm a defensive player, am I taking it personal? No, I don't. In the heat of a moment, when you still got your pads on, sometimes some players need to cool down first, compose themselves. He didn't have an opportunity to do that, and it bit him. But really, the big story there with the benching of Zach Wilson, if you look at video of Zach Wilson, his lower half is disconnected from his upper half. What I mean by that is when you're a quarterback, everything's got to go together. Your footwork, your top half, your lower half, everything's got to be in sync. You can't be throwing off your back foot. You can't be jumping in the air. You can't be putting your body this way and then your arm that way and think you're going to be able to direct the pass. He can't hit receivers out in the flat. He can't even throw it in the hemisphere, right? He's overthrowing. And I'll get into that, Joe. Right? I'm going to touch on that a little bit, right? So he can't hit out in the flat. His passes are late. He's missing guys wide open. But really, when I look at it, his footwork is so bad, really bad. And to me, the Jets are ahead of schedule from a rebuild perspective. And when you're ahead of schedule, you can't allow for your quarterback to have what I'm seeing on tape with his footwork continue. You have to fix that because before it becomes muscle memory, and you can't fix it. So you gotta stop it, let him go back, whatever scout team, whatever you have to do, and get that fixed. Why we got to that point? There's a failure in multiple spots. And then to your point, Joe, when you're in the locker room and you're a coach and you're telling your team, I'm holding everybody accountable in the locker room and I'm going to do the best thing for the team. He stepped up and removed the weakest link from that Jets roster so the team can move on. So you won the hearts of your veterans. You're teaching your young guys accountability. And if you're not going to play, you're going to sit. And so they made that move. And honestly, I'm for it because the Jets are ahead of schedule. Right. Look, there's multiple reasons. You can't play a quarterback that has awful mechanics. You can't do it. You just can't. He was 5-2. You just can't play somebody with bad. You got to fix that. And I don't know if you can fix it during the week and think that all of a sudden now on game day it's going to be fixed. I think it takes time. So I don't have a problem with it before you ruin this guy. I don't think Mike White is the long-term solution. But for right now, he's the guy that's orchestrating the offense and he's moving the football. And I mean, we didn't do so good against the Eagles there scoring points.
I don't think you stole what I was going to say, Stevie D. And I hear you, Joe. Right? I hear you. But I think if we take a look just around the league and what's happened, right? You've had these high draft picks that have taken some time to develop and to mature and really come into their own in the league, right? And when you invest in a number 2 pick overall in the league, that's rare air that you get up there, right? And when you get up there, you can't make a mistake. And what you are seeing here with Zach is he was highly touted coming out of BYU. And, with the selection, there was a lot, especially because he had a lot of the traits that you were seeing from Allen, from Mahomes. He may not have that size as Allen, but some of the traits, right? His escapability, his movability, his arm strength, is able to hit on all those passes that are on the tree. But you knew that he was coming out of BYU, independent, plays. I'm not going to say a soft schedule. They play a FBS schedule, but it's not an SEC schedule. I'll say that, right? It's not a Big Ten schedule. But he was successful there, and he came to the Jets. And there are some things that instantly kind of were maybe telltale signs that I think the Jets front office may have ignored, or at least outwardly to us, right? Instantly, you had the comparisons to Joe Namath, right? Where he was the new Broadway Zach. Right?
Every quarterback that the Jets draft, it gets that way.
But Stevie D, if this is your number 2 pick, you have got to slow that down. You have got to cut that narrative, right? You got to tell this guy.
You can't get away from it, man.
Yes, you can. You can. It's how you control him. You have got to tell him where his focus needs to be, right? And once you tell him where his focus needs to be, maybe that maturation process is accentuated. Maybe it happens a little bit further. But moreover, and you mentioned some things about his footwork, you have to determine, because this guy has yet to play. Well, now he's played, 17, 18 games in the league. He's
21 now.
2021. So he's 1 year in, right? We always look at that first year. Then you start to see that second year where the light starts to turn on, right? But you really have to see what you have in him. And you see some things that can be corrected. Your attitude can be corrected. Your footwork can be corrected. And if we're listening to Robert Saleh, some of the things that he's doing don't need to be corrected. We don't know. But according to Robert Saleh, he's the first in and the last out. According to Saleh, he's great in meetings. According to Saleh, he's watching film. This is what he's telling us, right? Whether or not he's telling us the truth, we don't know. But you're getting this, but you're not seeing some of those things develop on the field. Well, these are things that, do you need to get a better quarterback coach? I will take to Josh Allen and not comparing the two. But when Josh came out of Wyoming, there were a lot of concerns over his accuracy, a lot of concerns of the way he did certain things on the field. They made sure that they put Ken Dorsey there with him to make sure that he was able to train him and to coach him into being, that type of quarterback. They also made sure that he was locked in with Jordan Palmer, right? Are the Jets doing these things for their number 2 pick to be successful? Now, Joe, I see you talk about, we're winning. Well, you are winning. No disrespect to you winning, but like Stevie D said, you're there too early, right? You're there too early. We talked about it before. There's stair steps. Sometimes when you take that big leap, you actually hurt yourself. It's great to see your team win. We all want to see our team win. We don't want to see those losses, but sometimes it hurts you. And if you go for the win, you're going for the win with Mike White. Mike White, and you said it, but Mike White is not your long term. So now all of a sudden you finish the season 9-8, 10-7. Say you get in the playoffs. Do you have a playoff team? Well, you have a competitive team. If lightning struck in the bottle, you may have that chance to go a little bit further. But you know, in your mind of mind, your heart of hearts, you're not a championship team. You know that.
Yeah, if you look, if I can go back to 2009, you had Mark Sanchez as a rookie quarterback, right? Rex Ryan was a first-year head coach. Salah's a second-year head coach, right? The Jets defense was very, very good in 09. We snuck in, right, because of teams sitting players, and we got in, and we rolled it all the way to the AFC Championship game, right? And had a lead at halftime, a 13-point lead at halftime to the Colts, right? So a good defense, a running attack, and a rookie quarterback could go places. So I don't want to say that the Jets can't go into the playoffs with this team and not win a game or two with that defense. The defense is very good. I'm sorry if people don't agree, then you don't watch enough Jets football. This
But
defense
it's not about winning a game. It's not about winning a game or two, right? You want to get to that next level, right? Just
we're
because you
not
had a
there at that
collapse.
next level, right? In the second year of a rebuild. All I'm saying in the
Exactly. But you're so close. You're so
right.
close.
All I'm saying is Zach Wilson, Mark Sanchez did not have a footwork problem. He didn't have his top half and his lower half were disconnected problem. Okay. He had a fumbling problem and he had bad reads reading the secondary and throwing awful picks. Zach Wilson, when I watched the film, his footwork is awful and the separation with the lower half and the top half not playing together. He cannot be on the football field until that is fixed. Why it's there and why the Jets could not fix that, from what I understand, he was awful in OTAs, he was awful in training camp, and then he got hurt.
Well, and I'll go back.
Why
We've
is
talked
it?
about. I'll go back to this DVD, and this may have something to it, right? We talked about this when it happened, and you're right, Joe. The Greg Knapp passing,
Yeah.
Certainly in Robert Sala's mind, that was, that was the mentor. That was the guy that was going to help kind of
Yeah.
right the ship or develop the kid.
And what they did was, because Greg passed away and Zach was struggling, after Zach's injury and he came back in his rookie year, and Joe, you remember this, they hired John Beck, who was a former NFL quarterback, never made it, but
Yeah.
John Beck is he'll call himself a professional a professional quarterback coach, and that he teaches young quarterbacks. That's his job. So he mentors young quarterbacks.
Hold on. I have one question. Why are the worst quarterbacks in the league supposed to be the best
The
quarterback
worst hitters
coaches?
in the league are the best hitting coaches. I don't understand it. The worst pitchers are the best pitching coaches. I don't understand it. That's it's crazy how that works. But they hired John Beck, and John Beck said, "Look, I'll work with you from this point to the end of the season to help Zach. But I have a business that I have to run, and I can't come work for the Jets full time." Now you go into this offseason, and this season, he doesn't have a guy like John Beck. To my knowledge, they didn't replace Greg Knapp, who's
Mhm.
right. They didn't replace him as the passing game coordinator. And so what's happening? Are we really giving Zach the tools to be successful behind the scenes? Are we
Mhm.
surrounding him with the right people to be successful, to help fix these problems and mentor and coach him? Because obviously it's not coming from Robert. It's not coming from LaFleur. Right? Now they're saying LaFleur is taking a more active role. Well, where the hell was he before? This is your star quarterback. What do you mean he's now getting more involved? Why wasn't he more involved in the beginning? So that's why I'm saying that there's more to the story that's coming to the public. And in typical Jets fashion, I've seen in the last year and a half with Robert Saleh, he always paints. It's a great picture. When he went up to the, and this is where he loses me a little bit, is when he goes to the podium and says, "I have 3 great quarterbacks on the roster." I'm sorry, Joe Flacco is not a great quarterback. I'm sorry. Mike White, I can't say he's great or he's not. I don't know enough about Mike White, but I know Joe Flacco is not there, right? Joe Flacco is not there. Because if Joe Flacco was a great quarterback, Joe Flacco would be playing because he's the one with the experience.
Well, he can't get up to the podium. I got one great
Don't say
quarterback.
it. He doesn't have to say it. He doesn't have to
Right.
say it. He can just say, "I like my quarterback room." But when you say, "I got 3 great quarterbacks," and he mentions them by name, you're part of the problem, right? So, I just, again, I do like what Mike White is doing. I like a taller quarterback. Okay, Mike White, when he gets the pressure, he stays in, delivers the ball downfield. He doesn't try and roll out or go back 15 yards to make a play. If the rush is coming around him, he steps up in the pocket, completes his reads, and throws the ball downfield. Right? His passes out to the flat.
You just said something that actually triggered something in my mind. When we look at certain quarterbacks in the league, right, and especially the smaller quarterbacks, right, maybe Josh is an exception to this, but when they're younger, they have all this speed, right, all this escapability, and so they are not just a mobile quarterback, right, but they think that they're this elusive quarterback, right? And so when that pressure comes, instead of standing up in the pocket, these guys are running around for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then heaving the ball downfield. That was one of the problems that you had highlighted with Zach, right? Zach became Tecmo Bowl Zach, right? Because he would just run all the way back, right? Pressure, and you're like, where are you going? And
he's killing the play.
And when he lost himself, then he really killed you, right, for taking those huge losses on the sacks.
Huge losses, trying to throw a ball away in New England, it gets intercepted. Just making awful decisions downfield and getting tip balls and interceptions. He can't do the NFL. Successful NFL quarterbacks do not, when they get a little bit of pressure, 180 out, right? Run back 15 yards. It throws the whole play off. Now receivers have got to ad lib, right? The receivers are taught to run your route. You can't ad lib 70% of your dropbacks because your quarterback spins out, right? Sure. And you have to step in and deliver it. And when I watched the film on Zach, he's got wide receivers that he's missing. He's not even looking at, and he's missing them wide open. There's so many things in his game he's got to fix. So that's why
I personally think there's more. And Joe put it out there. You've put it out there, right? There is somebody that needs to be in this kid's ear. That's what I believe. I believe that you have your investment for the second pick. You have to determine if that investment is something that you want to keep shining so that, in 3-5 years that it's really shining, or if you believe that you've done all that you can do, then you got to get rid of it. You've got to get rid of it now. Just understand, now you're picking 15 to 20, and trust me, I know picking 15 to 20 lands you Trent Edwards and lands you Nathan Petermans.
I don't think they're going to draft another quarterback. I don't see it. I think they're going to try and get it to work. I agree, Joe. I don't think you can go back to Zach Wilson this year. I think it's the Mike White show because I think the locker room has told you it's the Mike White show. And if you go back to Zach Wilson, you risk separating the locker room. Now, Mike White, in fairness to Mike White, he's only started 5 games and have only completed 4 because he was injured in the Colts game last year in the first quarter. So in fairness to him, he hasn't started many games in the NFL. But what I can tell you is he moves the ball, right? 2 weeks ago, he had 4. I think they had 479 in total yards and then 489, right? So he's moving the football and such. So I like this. I like the way he's distributing the football. There's a lot of things I like about Mike White. But I'm going to tell you, now comes the test, Joe. Okay, the test is this Sunday. He's going up against a really good Bills defense. And last year, he tried to play hero ball in his own words, and he threw 4 picks. So now we're going to see what he's going to do on the road in December in a meaningful game when there's pressure on the line. Does he get 400 plus total yards? I don't think so, but we're going to see. Mike White moved the ball against the banged up Bears defense. He moved the ball against the Vikings defense that's not known, bend but don't break defense. Okay, he go again, 2 games. Look, you get almost 500 yards in the league, you're doing something, right? Because the guys on the other side get paid to stop you, and they're professional athletes, right? You rack up almost 500 total yards. You have 975 yards in the last 2 games. That's a lot of moving of the football. I'll give him credit. He did that. But now you got to test. And what is that? What are you going to do? The Bills are no joke. Their front four is no joke. Their linebackers are no joke. The secondary, I think you're still banged up in that secondary. I know Poyer's back there. You got White. I don't know if Elam Bedford, I think, is still out. So your secondary.
Bedford's on the IR, so he won't be there. Elam's recovering from the ankle, but
so your secondary is a little banged up. But again, your front 7 is legit. So we'll see, Mike White. We're going to see. Because every Jet fan wants to see Mike White. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to see Mike White because Zach Wilson's got to get fixed. But everybody that thinks Mike White is the second coming, we're going to see.
So where is Zach now? Is he 2 or 3?
He's still not even 3? Dressing. Yeah,
so he's not even dressing. 3.
Yeah, and they said it already this week. He's not even going to dress.
So
and
real
again,
quick, let's touch on the Vikings game real quick. That was our last one. And then we'll segue over.
That killed me, man. I was out for days. I was unapproachable for days. I think you're being generous there. It's a road game in December in the cold, against a very good defense. Joe, I love the optimism. I wish it to come true.
Terry, are you there? Terry, these are fighting words to you. Coming out of this show trying to call your shot. What?
But as far as the Vikings game goes, like the first half was not very good offensively. The defensive side of the ball, I was quite confused. On one particular drive, they had like 3 or 4 third downs of 4 yards or less, and we're giving 8 to 10 yards on the cushion, and they hit us for the quick pass to get the first down. There was no adjustment. It was very frustrating. I was dropping some bombs at the TV, right? Because I didn't know what was going on, right? And then it seemed like the Jets kind of got a groove and then shut down the Vikings, and they were nowhere to be found in that second. I mean, they had the 1 touchdown drive, but they were nothing in the second half. I mean, Kirk Cousins threw for 166 yards.
You guys had a lot of field goals, right?
Yeah. We moved the football, man. We got tons of yardage. But you know what? I thought there was some bad play calling by LaFleur. I didn't understand when we got into the red zone, when we got close to the end zone. I didn't like some of the pass plays they called. I felt like they didn't trust Mike White in the red zone to make a play with his arm. I thought they got conservative in some spots. And then the one drive, Joe, you got to remember this. I was screaming at the TV. My son is like, what? Because I saw it live. And I started screaming, why do you do the block in the back, George Fant? On the first down call, you cannot block in the back. Can't do it. So to set up the play, it was like a wide receiver screen type play. And Barrios decides, I'm going to 180 out and cut to the outside. The play is designed to catch it to cut back into the inside. So Fant is out to block the guy coming in so Barrios can kind of take the hash mark and go down that seam. He decides to do a 180 out and go out to the sideline. Well, the defender sees it, obviously with the 180, so he starts to make his move, and Fant decides, I'm going to push you in the back. It's wide open. They call him for a 10-yard penalty. Now it's 1st and 20 when it should have been 1st and goal from the 9. Now it's 1st and goal from the 19. And that didn't work. That the rest of that drive was screwed. And it was like stupid stuff like that on that play was stupid. It was a winnable game. Justin Jefferson, 7 catches for 45 yards. I want to know, in all the games he's played this year and against all the teams he's played, Has anybody held the 45 yards? I don't think so.
So, welcome to
I
the
don't.
New York Jets show. As Stevie D continues to just talk about the Jets, 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 Jets. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, there are,
You brought it up.
besides the Jets, 31 other teams in the league. But we've listened to the Jets and what rails upon every team in the league. Um, I can give you my Bills recap what's that name that tune? I could do that probably in about 4 or 5 minutes or less. But what I will say, segueing, what I will say is that what we have seen from Buffalo has been a shift to a more balanced attack, and that's a very good thing. You're starting to see the development of some semblance of a running game. What's odd is that this time last year is when we started to see that same thing, right? So why did it take you 8 to 9 weeks to develop a little bit of a running game? But we're seeing James Cook starting to emerge, right? Second
Yeah.
round pick, starting to get good catches out of the backfield, starting to run the ball not only on the outside but in between the tackles. We're seeing Devin Singletary, right, starting to establish himself. This is all because of the second to last play or third to last play against the Jets. This is why this is happening, right? Because now with Josh with the UCL, you want to kind of pamper and baby him a little bit, which I don't disagree with that. But understand that this could have been happening early on, and you really could know exactly what you have in your backfield. But I am very pleasantly surprised and pleased to see them working with the backs and then still, kind of working with the receivers. Interestingly enough, obviously, the Bills have been linked to OBJ. And so, we'll wait to see where that happens and where
I
he
thought you
lands.
didn't want him. I thought you didn't want him.
You know, I didn't. I didn't. But I think at this point, if we're going all in, if we're pushing the chips all in, the unfortunate thing is that Von Miller is down and will be out for the rest of the year with the torn ACL, needing surgery. But I look at what Diggs. There's been a couple things that I've noticed, right, especially over the last few weeks. I've noticed that Gabriel Davis is very streaky. He makes some of the most amazing catches, right? The toe tap swag they like to call it, right? What he did against the Chiefs in the playoffs games, he makes some great catches. But when you need to rely on him in just the middle of the game, right? That 3rd and 7, maybe that 4th and 5, something like that, where you got to have it, right? But it's the middle of the game. All of a sudden, he decides that he's going to develop a case of the drops, right? It's not alligator arms, it's nothing like that, but it just drops. And when you're like that, all of a sudden, your level of being dependable drops instantly, right? Excuse me. When you look at Isaiah McKenzie is, very sometimey. When you were talking about Zach and Mike White and what's happening at Jet practice, I don't know what's happening with the Bills practice. I don't know where McKenzie is, right? He splashes and has great games, but then all of a sudden he's pulled out of the rotation. He's pulled out of the playbook. So not sure. And so when you start looking at that, I have Shakir, who's not getting the run that I think he should be getting. All of a sudden, you have to go find help. Finding help meant that they signed John Brown, right? John Brown was good for us when he was with us. This was the early days, right? This is the pre-Diggs, pre-Davis, the transformational days. But then he got hurt, and then he kind of never really took on post the injury. We brought him back in because we said we need help. He's the best of what you see. So when you say I thought you really didn't want OBJ, I'm looking at my wide receiver room and it's just not there, right? You got Diggs, and then you got Diggs, right? And so what does everybody do? Double and triple coverage on Diggs, right? And he gets frustrated because he's not getting what he wants, but the coverage is just all over the place. These other guys have got to step up. I I will say that in addition to the running game, talked about the passing game. Another thing that stuck out, especially in that Patriot game, really is the emergence of AJ Epinesa. I was very critical of him coming out of Iowa because I wanted J.K. Dobbins, and maybe I made it personal, right? I wanted J.K. Dobbins, and when we didn't get Dobbins and we took Epinesa, I had an eye on you, right? I was watching you, AJ, and that first year was not good. And I was like, exactly. That's why we needed J.K. Dobbins, right? Um, but I have to be a man here, Stevie D, and stand up. I was wrong, right? Not only for the pick and what Dobbins has really done in Baltimore, but for what Epinesa has done. And I've heard that he's trying to transform his body, right? And it's in again, kind of going back to Zach, right? It takes a while to get yourself acclimated to the speed of the game, what's required, yada yada. But I like what he's doing, and he's going to be needed. Rousseau is going to be needed, and Boogie Basham has been playing really well with all the different injuries. These guys are going to be needed because Von Miller being out is a big loss. But I will say in that Patriot game, I saw a lot of good things from these guys, and we're going to need that going forward. The last thing is when I look at the Bills team secondary, when I look at them, I'm looking at a secondary that is on the verge of being back to being great. Um, Missing Micah Hyde is big, very big. But
Yeah. Mm.
but I've heard that Micah may try to make a return late in the season. Yeah. Now, if that's possible, if that's possible, and he's truly healthy, right? Don't come back just to come back, right? Just because you want to be out there with your boy Jordan, right? But if you are really healthy enough to come back, you can definitely tell that those two are the captains back there. They direct it. Poyer's just awesome, and like we were
Really
talking
is
about
a
Judge,
great football player.
we were talking about Judge, right? Just pay Poyer. I'd much rather Poyer just retire a bill and be done with it. He made a pick. It didn't count.
I was going to
Same
ask you about that.
same team. So you go back in that playoff game, he came from the other side of the end zone, stepped in front, made the interception. One of the greatest interceptions I've ever seen. In the game against New England this past, he came flying across from the other side of the field to make this catch go into the sideline. Unfortunately, NFL rules, the
Yeah.
ball moved.
Okay. Can we stop there for a second? Because I watched it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
He got 3 feet down.
Mm-hmm.
Not 2. He got 3. Why does it matter that he didn't control it going to the sideline? He got 3 feet down. How many feet do you have to have in bounds before you're fumbling the ball out of bounds?
Please don't ask me. Right? Please don't ask me.
Because that's the point that I haven't, of all the people that I've heard, I've seen a lot of stuff from Bills Mafia, on different videos showing the replay, and they say, I don't understand how this is a catch. And they never talked about 3 feet down because he had it, and they said it's not that they didn't say the ball moved, but they were zoning in on when he fell to the ground with the ball. And my argument is by definition, if the ball is moving, it's an incomplete pass. But that's normally when you see 2 feet down. He got 3 feet down, and that should not be the same. And that's why I say it's a catch, because he got 3 feet down, not 2.
But Stevie D, we have seen where they've had 2 feet, right? 2 feet. Here, I'm trying to choreograph a catch, but you have 2 feet. They fall down to the ground, right? Technically, a catch is what, a shin, a thigh, the butt, right, and going all the way up. So I have 2 feet and I land on my side, and then the ball moves. They say I didn't have control, so it would fall to that as well. It doesn't matter if you have 2. I just don't know the answer. Nobody knows the answer because the goalposts keep moving, right? You got to catch the ball and then make a football move. You got to have 2 feet in control of the ball, right? Now you got to carry it all the way down to the ground. But we've seen the ball move and then they change. Well, the ball can move as long as you're showing control of the ball. Well, how am I showing control of the ball if the ball is moving? Right? Because technically that's what that was. He had control. It just moved. It didn't touch the ground. That's one of the biggest
It
issues.
moved. I'm not saying it touched the ground, but it moved. And by definition, once it shifts, by definition, it's incomplete. I'm just saying if I back up, he got 3 feet in bounds. It shouldn't matter. I hit the ground.
You have seen, like I've seen, guys that dive for the interception, right? The ball is in their hand, right? The ball moves, right? And now all of a sudden they turn and they roll, but the part of the ball hit the ground. But because I had my hand under it, even though part of it hit the ground, they're saying that I still had control. They can't, and they're saying it's legit. They can't define. This is the problem with the league. They can't define what a catch is. Then they go back and they look at all of their errors throughout the season, and then they decide we're going to redefine this. And now you redefine it, and people are like, well, wait a minute, that's not what it was last year. And so now you have that going on, and then you have more issues, and then that changes, and it's a never-ending cycle. Somebody's got to plant the flag and say, this is what a catch is. Here it is. You have got to meet all these different criteria. You do. It's black and white. Here you go. If that happens, I'm sorry, but we're not changing it next year to accommodate your request. I don't know. Stevie D.
There's one other point. There's one other point I want to talk about the Buffalo game. Your safety, Jackson.
That's the corner, Dane Jackson.
Dane Jackson. Who was the safety next to Poyer? I may have the wrong guy.
Which one are you talking about there?
So you have Poyer as a safety. Don't you have two safeties that play? Or you play a one safety?
Well, no, we have multiples.
Okay.
Where are you going with
the safety that got thrown out of the game? I thought it was a safety who got thrown out of the game.
Was it Dane that got thrown out?
I thought it was Dane Jackson. I thought it was Jackson, number 3 or number 6.
I'm trying to think. Was that that was
in the end zone? They threw him out because he went high to the receiver in the end zone. Third quarter, maybe.
This is you're talking the Patriot game?
Yes. Do you remember the play, not the player? Do you remember the play?
I do. I want to say it was Hamlin.
Okay.
It was number 3. It was number 3 because Hamlin's the hitter.
Then it was number 3 who got thrown out.
Hamlin. That's Hamlin.
Okay. So that play, I have a problem with that player getting ejected.
I do too.
I thought that was when they said it in the broadcast before it happened, I said, are you kidding me? Then players need to be thrown out of the game all over the place. He was not targeting the player in the head and head and neck area. It's a football players when players are moving, and if a wide receiver goes down just a hair, now all of a sudden I'm in the neck and head area. And for New York to watch the replays and to throw him out for that, I thought was wrong because even on the replays when I watched it, I didn't see it as targeting. I didn't see it as a malicious hit. We have to use some common sense if we're going to throw a player out of the game. That was not the intent to separate his head from his neck. That was not the intent of the player there. And I just thought it was an awful call. I was really disappointed that New York buzzed down and said the player needs to be ejected because throughout the course of this week, the last week, and the prior weeks, I saw other hits that players took that I thought were way worse than that and weren't even flagged for a penalty, let alone being thrown out of a game. So I didn't agree with that call. I thought that was an awful call. I'm glad that play didn't have an effect on the outcome because that was an awful call for that player to get ejected on that play. And I wanted to mention that because I just thought it was awful.
So Stevie D, a couple of things I want to touch on because we're coming up on time. This is what happens when you try to make up for the lost time, right? Um, but one thing that we didn't have on our list, I want to talk about Dion.
Yeah, my man, Coach Prime, baby.
I am the biggest Prime fan out there, right?
This is not Coach Prime's fault.
I'm the biggest Prime fan that there is out there. I have a big problem with him leaving Jackson State, and I'll tell you why. When Dion took that job at Jackson State, he said he's going to do things here that are going to revolutionize HBCU football, right? Which he has, right? He has brought more attention, more money, more television coverage, which in turn has flipped the scales where you're starting to see these kids instead of go to the Power Five schools, right? Instead of going to the Alabamas, the Florida States, the Georgias, all of a sudden they're going to Jackson State, right? And I applaud him for that, right? He got into a little skirmish with a coach after the
North
game.
Alabama, North Alabama State coach.
Mm-mm. Are they no?
The handshake
But
game.
it was a handshake,
I think it's
and
North Alabama.
he said you're not swag, and Dion is swag, right? He should be thanking Dion for the publicity that he brought to the HBCU
Yeah.
football conference, right? Or the SWAC and HBCU schools. Um, but Dion also came in preaching a message, right? And this is where I have a problem because in college football, yes, you have the portal now, but in college football, and you know this from your son's recruiting, you speak to these coaches in high school, right? And you're looking to make your decision. And you have different options, especially you're a 4 or 5 star kid, right? You got different options that are on the table and you're trying to find the right fit. I want to go to this school because I'm an African American kid and I want to go to an HBCU. And guess what? I get to play for Prime, right? That's a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, right? And so then you commit to go to this school. Meanwhile, you've turned down offers that may have been from Georgia, Iowa State, Maryland, Florida State, Clemson, whatever it may be. You've turned those down, and now you've committed to go to Jackson State with Coach Prime, and then he ups and leaves. Now he sat in your living room and said, "I want you to come there." He did not sit in your living room telling you, "Hey, I want you to go there, but keep in mind, I'm headed out to Colorado." He didn't tell you that he's short term because he came in there with a full agenda. And in as
but
much as
welcome to college football. All these coaches do the same thing.
they may do that, but Dion said that he's different, right? And this is where I have a problem with Dion. Dion should have been open and said, "I have a 3-year plan. I have a 5-year plan. And for my 3-year plan or my 5-year plan, you're going to get my 3 or 5 year commitment." Right. And then after that, all bets are off, right? Whatever you do, right? And they should be very thankful. Now, I understand that Dion's not getting paid the same that the other college coaches are, especially from Jackson State or from an HBCU coach. I get that, right? And I get that his facilities are not where they should be. The alumni and the boosters are not where they should be. I get all of that, right? But let me ask you this question. Did you go to Colorado so that your son could play at a top elite level school so that he has a higher chance of getting drafted? Is that what you did, Dion? Did you forsake the other kids that you sat in their homes and talked to their mothers and their fathers and you looked these kids in the eye to say that this is what you want to do? But really, you saw an opportunity to elevate your son to another level and you left to go get more money, to go get better facilities, to make it good for you, but also to bring your son along so that he has a chance to play in the NFL.
That's quite an acquisition there.
Well, you saw what happened. He took the job,
Yeah.
and Shador is now the starting quarterback at Colorado.
Well, he
I
says he's got to earn it, but
okay, but I just don't like how that happened. I really don't. I don't like how that happened, and I'm a prime guy. Hey, oh, Lamar, where were you earlier?
oh, where were you, man? You missed it tonight. You missed it. We called your name like 5 times, 6 times today.
Oh, where were you? So I am. I'm a prime guy, and I get it, but there's something you want to preach, the morals you want to preach, the way that it is to be a man. I don't like it.
Okay, so you said a lot there, right? One, I'm going to address the 3 to 5 year. You can't do that every year with a recruiting class because at some point you're going to be lying on the 3 to 5 year plan, right? Because at some point you're going to move on, and every kid you recruit, if you say that line, at some point you're going to disappoint somebody. So I don't know if I agree to that. You're as a coach, you're recruiting, and just like when you're super nice in the recruiting trip, right? And all of a sudden day one at training camp, they don't even know who you are, right? And they don't want to know from you. You're not your best friend. They're the best friend while they're recruiting you, and then once they got you, they're not your best friend, right? So as a person being recruited, you got to know going in that everything is a lie, that you're going to that school for a particular reason, because that's what college coaches do. They all do it. They all lie. They all go in and tell, I'm going to take care of your family. I'm going to not take care of you. I'm going to take care of your boy. Right. And well, some schools do that. Right. The Blue Chips. Remember that movie? Right? We're there to take care of the player. So there's lies going on all over the place. Okay. Coach Prime did a lot for HCBU. Right. He's
He
done a
did.
lot there. Right. And he can do a lot at the NCAA level. He put that on the map. He put and said to other coaches, you can coach at this level and get top recruits to come over. Right. So hopefully they'll be able to build on that success. I don't
Not gonna
begrudge a
happen.
person.
Not gonna
There's
happen.
nobody has that swag like Coach Prime where people want to go for Coach Prime. Gotcha.
The
I
last the
mean,
last
that's the reality of it, right? He has a uniqueness about him that not many players can come into the college level and say, holy, I get to play for Deion Sanders. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I want that chance. Like that kid who turned the back on the NCAA and says, I'm going to coach. When do you see a top 5 recruit do something like that?
you're
Even a
talking
top
about
5 recruit go to a no-name
Travis
school.
Hunter.
Right. Go to a no-name school. It just doesn't happen, let alone going to an HCBU
The last time you saw anything like that where you're able to get top recruits was when you had Eddie Robinson at Grambling.
Now, okay, so Eddie
Outside of that,
Robinson. It was Eddie
mhm,
Robinson Jr. who had the spat with Deion,
it
and he was
is
coaching North Alabama State. It was the school
okay.
that they had that spat at. Here's my thing with Deion. I'm not going to speak to his son and that because I don't know. But I don't begrudge anybody, and he's getting a shot. What I'm going to say is,
If it
Florida
smells
State.
like it, CBD. If it smells like it,
Okay, all I'm going to say is Florida State blew their shot.
yeah, they did.
Because you want to talk about you should have fired who you had and signed Coach Prime, and you want to talk about recruiting now back to Florida State, they would have had it all.
The funny thing with that is that Florida State started to have a little slide the early part to mid part of this season. As soon as that happened, everybody was talking about Prime coming and that Mike Norvell would be fired and Prime was coming. And somehow, instantly, Florida State goes on this run. They end up finishing, what, 14th overall in the nation. So it's hard to fire a guy that's winning. But they
Coach
did
Prime
miss
is
the
going to
thing.
turn that program around. He's going to turn it around, and then everybody's going to be calling. And same with Florida State. They will be calling here in a couple of years because Deion is going to get the top recruits because people want to play for prime time. I mean, I know if I had the talent, hell yeah, I'd want to play for Deion Sanders. Are you kidding me? To be able to coach by Deion Sanders? Like, forget it. So Colorado is going to, and then their primetime games. I mean, that's that school. Even the athletic directors, I don't have the money to pay him yet. He's like, we're going to figure it out. But right now, they don't even have the money to pay Deion Sanders. And they said something. I think some of the joke is when that check comes on Thursday, it better not bounce because Deion will bounce on the hell out of there if their check bounces. So I think I like it. I can't speak to his son and all that. I thought the press conference, I thought he had a great press conference being introduced there. I liked the video of him getting in front of all the players and says, you better hit the transfer portal, boys, because what we did on the field last year is not going to happen here. I love it, though, because he set an expectation is this is not good enough, and you're not good enough, and I'm going to find players that are going to be good enough. So you better hit that transfer portal. And so I loved everything about it. I couldn't stop watching the video. I had to watch it like 6 times because I was dying. Oh, anyway, go Coach Prime. Good luck.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about was how great Tom Brady is.
Who?
Yeah, right. You know, I'm watching this game. 3 minutes to go in the game, and first of all, Dennis Allen should be fired. All right,
great Tom Brady is.
On multiple levels, he should be fired. The game plan, the 4-minute clock management game plan that they had, right? You're trying to milk the clock. Now, granted, he got sacked, but you had Andy Dalton on a second. It was like a second and 4. Dalton's going to do a play fake and drop back to pass, and then coming off the edge, they sack him. Next thing you know, it's second and second. No, that made it like 3rd and 14, right? Something ridiculous where you have to pass. Right, this is pre 2 minutes, so now you have to pass. I'm watching this. Mark Ingram, what he's doing, the play calling was atrocious, and it led to them, the Saints, being down 16-3, and blew that with 3 minutes to go in the game, and lose 17-16. No, I was being facetious when I was talking about Tom Brady, how great Tom Brady was. No, they handed that to you on a silver platter. The referees handed it to you, calling that pass interference in the end zone, right? The Bucs could not drive the ball down the field more than 10 yards. And I'll tell you another thing. Todd Bowles was about to be absolutely eviscerated because Brady wanted, it was 4th and 10 from their 25. Brady wanted to go for it. From his own 25, Stevie D.
Okay.
They're down 16-3. He wants to go for it. Why do you want to go for it there? Right? Because you're desperate, but you haven't converted anything. If you fail to convert on that 4th and 10, what do you have? Well, now you've turned the ball over to them in field goal range. Range. Right. So Bull says, no, we got to punt. Brady's like, having his hissy fit, and eventually they end up punting, which then actually was bad because the punter shanked the punt. You're like, you might as well.
Tom Brady, he called it.
I think he whispered something in his ear like, you bet not punt this, right? Because you're looking at this. But, then you just watch the way that the rest of the game unfolded. 3 minutes. Come on, guys. Come on. But you actually had a chance to be relevant in a very weak and poor division. Didn't happen.
Well, okay. Really? Andy Dalton playing over Jameis Winston? Seriously?
That's the next thing. Thank you for bringing that up. That's the next thing. You want to say that Jameis is hurt. Jameis wasn't hurt. Jameis was celebrating and kind of rooting on his teammates up and down the field. Jameis, he has an issue with the interceptions. But as long as you keep that under control, Jameis is 10 times better than Andy Dalton. I watched some of the passes Andy Dalton makes. He had a couple good ones, DVD. He actually had a couple. But I look at the vast majority of them, and I just think, why are you there? One more thing. You're willing to put Taysom Hill in there over Jameis Winston. Here's another thing. Sorry, there's more, right? Again, as I said, every once in a while, Dalton was throwing some darts, right? When they needed it, it was I gave you the whole scenario of the sack and everything else having to go back. It was like third and 17, something like that. You have Jarvis Landry, you have Chris Olave. I don't know all the rest of the wide receivers, but you have other wide receivers out there. And you decide you're going to go to the Swiss Army knife utility guy, right? Half quarterback. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a 1/8 quarterback, 1/8 wide receiver, 1/8 tight end, 1/8 running back, right? You keep adding these ingredients in. This is your guy, punt returner, kick returner. We're almost there, right? And he's going to be your guy instead of
Yeah.
going and going to the targeting the guy who makes his money being a wide receiver, makes his money catching the ball anytime it's thrown to him, and you're going to go to Taysom Hill. I have no idea. I remember back in the day when we were all, it was me, you, JB, and Jay, and we were all talking about Taysom Hill, and we could not figure out back then
Yeah.
what this guy had that Sean Payton was so in love with. Sean Payton's gone. Dennis Allen, now it's your time, and you're still in love with this guy. In love with him to be a substitute over Andy Dalton, in love with him to be a substitute over Jarvis Landry or Chris Olave. That team is completely dysfunctional, and that's why I say Dennis Allen needs to go. He needs to go. That's all I got for
Another
you.
one of these guys that get hired and it doesn't look good, right? Nathaniel Hackett in Denver.
There
right?
you go.
Another coach that looks confused on the sideline, overwhelmed. I didn't watch the game, so I can't speak to Dennis Allen looking overwhelmed. But Nathaniel Hackett looks overwhelmed there in Denver, and he's got Russell Wilson, and they can't score any points. You're 3-9. You're 3-9, and you haven't given up more than 16 points in a game or something like that this year. Think about that. I think I'm joking on the 16 points, but I mean I think it was something like 9 games. They had their defenses giving up 16 or less points in 9 games this year, and they're 3-9. That's sickening if you're a Broncos fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Stevie D, I got something for you here. I know we're going to be building out a new segment, but John Robinson, general manager of the Tennessee Titans, gets fired the week or the days after his team played the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, if that's not a message to every GM in the league, do not embarrass your owner by trading your star receiver to a team that comes back and that star receiver beats you because you couldn't get a contract done.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Good for the owner. And good for the owner. Right. No.
Yeah, I just thought that was comical. It's like, ooh, yeah, had a bad day. Ooh, got even worse. Even worse.
And I wonder if it was the press conference that you already know as an owner you're pissed that you traded AJ Brown because you couldn't sign him and you couldn't lock him up. They tried, it didn't work out, and then you convince your owner we got to trade him. He don't want to sign here, and he's not whatever. And then all of a sudden he gets on the board at the end of the game, and AJ Brown pours his heart out. Right in the beginning of it, he pours his heart out. I didn't want to go. Here he is in an Eagle uniform. You just win a football game, and you're talking about you didn't want to leave Tennessee. I was like, ooh, boy, Mike, how's this going to rub Philly fans? And I'm listening to it, and he's like, I didn't want to go. And we just couldn't agree. They just were not offering me a decent contract. I didn't want to go. So I knew my time was up. And when you listen to it, if I'm an owner, I am like, are you kidding me? Because I went from a team in the AFC competing to be at least in the AFC championship game, right? They were the 1 seed last year. A couple of years ago, they were in the AFC championship game, right? They had a roster, their defense, they were competing. They were a division winner, win a playoff game. You're in that mix. You're in the Buffalo, Kansas City, Tennessee conversation, Cincinnati conversation, right? It's the top 4 teams in the conference. Now, all of a sudden, I got nobody left, right? I got the AJ Brown is gone. Who was the other receiver they had that they traded? I think he went to LA. His name's escaping me. But either way, they have no talent.
You're talking about Robert Woods.
Robert Woods
went to Jacksonville.
Yeah. So you get rid of all these now. AJ Brown's my last guy. I got nobody left except for Derrick Henry. But you know what? You can stop Derrick Henry if you don't have a threat of a passing attack, right?
Yes,
you can do that, right? So I just look at him, and the owner's like, "Are you kidding me? This guy." And good for the owner. Good for the owner. If that's truly how it went down, right? And he said, "You know what? I'm done with this because I lost one of my guys that I didn't want to lose, and I didn't have to lose him."
It was shocking. It was at least a mid-season firing. I think there's a little bit more than that. I think one conversation bled into another conversation, which spawned another conversation that said, "Thank you, goodbye." Right? I think that's how that happened because to happen mid-season, what are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do? Scouts are already done. I don't know.
At the end of the day, you're opening it up for you can start the recruiting process of talking to people that may be not current NFL GMs, right? And you can at least start that process. There you go. Cool. No, whoa! You'd go to Tennessee?
No, I'd work remote. And this
So you would work for the enemy? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think I got you on video saying you'd work for the enemy. Well, I know, so you can trade them all, right?
There you go, you bunch of cesspool. That was easy. Well, listen, CBD, we've gone well into overtime.
Yeah.
Speaking of overtime, how did we get a tie? How did we get a tie?
You blew that lead?
No. 9-3.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about? You talking about the Commanders and Giants?
No, Tyler Bass is out here playing for the Sabres. 9-3. 9-3. Tyler Bass is like, I got it. I'll kick it from the blue line. I'll kick it from the red line. Tyler Bass is the man. And yes, my Sabres, Tage Thompson, I think he has 5 goals on the night. Hey, just going off. No, how did we end up with a tie? Please, NFL, stop with the ties. Please stop with the ties. It does not look good. 7-3-1. And then the mathematics is all screwed up.
Yeah, you
have no idea what you need coming. Well, because of the tie, now they gain here, they lose there. Play it out. Play it out. Well, listen, Stevie D, so good to be back. So good to be on. Maybe we were just on a tryptophan type deal where we were just all passed out, and maybe that's our excuse.
The sickness bug went through our house. That's what happened.
So yeah, due to HIPAA regulations, I was not going to divulge that. But no, we are glad you're up and about. We do ask, check us out on Twitter, check us out on IG, Facebook, and always if you want to rewatch, you can check us out here on YouTube. It's fun to be able to talk about it. It's just so much to get through, right? We try to keep it condensed. We try to keep it within an hour, and man, this was a good run. And we had Tanya on, right? And please go to her website at SherelleDivine.com. That's Sherelle, CherelleDivine, DIVINE.com. And you go there and you can learn about goat yoga and some other types of yoga, healing yoga, which that's the one I need to take her up on. And then there's the women's yoga that she talks about. So, please visit her website, support her in her endeavors there. And then, maybe she'll come back on. See, now you're popping up saying, "Oh, really?" Yeah, you're gonna have to go back to YouTube and rewatch because, yes, oh, really? But no, we do thank everybody for watching.
But Lamar, in about 3 weeks, you're definitely not going to want to watch and miss the show if we get Tanya back on and Carolina on.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to want to be on that show. You may want to join us on that show. Just going to throw it out.
We were ready to go, OW Sports After Dark. I think we have now got our programming ready for OW Sports After Dark. So I'm going to wrap this one up here, Stevie D. Again, pouring a little out for my man Mills Lane, right? Mills Lane, let's get it on. One of the greats in boxing and will be missed. But for my co-host Stevie D, I'm Vince.